foremost, Lauren, congratulations. Where are you? This is phenomenal. I am very excited for you for so many different reasons. When Lauren and I talked over the last few days, she told me that I could be my authentic self. She told me that I could keep it 100 and I could just say what I need to say and get out the way. So I'm going to give you all a few points. We discussed this idea of why mentoring is important. Why every effort that we have going on right now is important. And I'll start everything off by saying time, talent, and treasure. Like you said, we love the money that jingles, but we'd rather have the one that folds, right? Amen. Praise the Lord, right? Some of y'all get it. It's making sense to some. There we go. But time, talent, and treasure. I get that everybody might not have all three. Some people might only have two. Some person might only have one. No matter what it is you have, we all possess something. Back in the fall of 2013, I participated in a conference put on by Susan Taylor, used to be the editor of Essence Magazine. Susan now has what's called the National Cares Mentoring Movement, and she started a pilot program at Harlan High School on the south side, far south side, called the Rising Program, Harlan Rising. While we were there, they had a bunch of different speakers. Michael Dyson came out. We had some great consultants and people that do a lot of work in mentoring, and it was really cool. We got to one point on that first night where on the stage, they took 6 of the seniors that went to the high school, and they did an affirmation circle. Not even a circle, they lined them up one by one. And they went down the list and they told each student to say something that somebody has said to you that hurt you and that you still believe about yourself. This is actually the first chapter in my second book, Between the Dream. As they went down this line, they got to the middle. It was a senior. He had just dropped his, I guess you could say he just dropped his rank with the gang. He was a GD. He dropped his rank. He said he didn't want to gang bang no more. He wanted to go to college. He wanted to change his life. And he was like, every day I wake up and my mom tells me that you ain't shit and you ain't never gonna be shit, just like your daddy. The whole room went silent. I'm talking about 400 people in one auditorium, and you can hear everything. And as I looked at this young man, he began to start breaking down. You could see the tears welling up in his eyes. And I couldn't believe it. The reason why I couldn't believe it is because I felt like it was something that I myself felt. Now, I said we can keep it 100 in here with tonight, so I want you all to do so with me. But ladies, this is a term that a lot of times is used to refer to black men when they make us upset or when they do something to us. We see it all up and down social media all the time, right? And one thing that caught my attention, I went to my old high school, King College Prep. The next week I had to speak to 5 senior classes. And in each senior class, there were about 25 young men and young women. And I said, if anybody has ever said this to you and you still believe it about yourself, stand up or remain standing. In every class, over half the class stood up. By the time it was all said and done, only one young lady had stood up from the class. Now, you told them about the work that I do, and that's great. Yes, I am a 2-time best-selling author. I travel the country speaking. I'm 27 years old, and I'm doing things that I never would have imagined at this age of my life. However, that makes no difference to me because I live in a city, and I live in a world where our young men and women still struggle with day-to-day basis. The reason why I decided to make You Ain't Shit the first chapter of my book is because that was something I felt for so long. So when I went to college, I lost my football scholarship because I had a heart murmur. From that, I was upset because I was at a school I didn't want to be at if I wasn't playing sports. So I basically said, forget life. In a year and a half, I put on 170 pounds. I went from 200 pounds to 270 in 1 year, and that literally, I'd say 18 months. It took 18 months for me to blow up, right? During this time, I got into a relationship where I was a victim of domestic abuse for a year and a half. People look at me and be like, how's that possible? You're a big man, what happened? It's simple. I grew up in a household, my dad taught me never put your hands on a young woman. And from that, I had a really bad temper as well. And I'm a black man on a campus with 73% Caucasian, and black men are always the core focus of the police. I knew where I was headed if I did anything. So I began to take all of this stuff in. And what a lot of people didn't know about me at the time, because they saw the outward, they saw the external Richard. I was the praise and worship leader for the gospel choir. I was the section leader. I was on the executive board. I was the president of a fraternity. I was a part of the National Housing Association that we had. I did a lot of different things, but nobody saw the struggle on the inside. And I think one of our young ladies alluded to this. Lauren, I think you might have too. I didn't see these struggles. No, I mean, nobody saw these struggles but me. I let them see what I wanted them to see. So it got to a point where my GPA was at a 1.4 for 3 semesters straight. And I got a letter from NIU saying, if you don't get your stuff together by the end of this semester, we're kicking you out. A week and a half later, I found out that the young lady I was with was cheating on me the entire time we were together. And a lot of folks thought that, oh, this is why he snapped. It's not. It's because I lived a life for so long, layering problem after problem after problem after problem, with no form of release and no form of help. So how many of y'all have seen the movie Michael Myers? At least one of them. One of the Hollywood movies. I took a 12-inch blade just like that down my left wrist, and I was in the hospital for a week and a half. I was laying on my deathbed for a week and a half, and look, I woke up the next morning after it happened. I see my face, my name in the school newspaper. I see this story about how Richard Taylor, the student leader, is suicidal. Crazy. The reality is nobody knew my problems. Everybody was so quick to judge and say what they thought was going on, but nobody understood the underlying issues. And we can see the Sears Tower from here. We got a great view of our city. At this moment, now, thinking about what I'm telling you, I can't help but to think back to 2001, when I was in my 8th grade classroom. And we got word that the first plane had hit the building in New York for the World Trade Center. And they finally turned the TV on, and we see all of this stuff going on, debris falling. We see people on the bottom. We see people jumping out of the building. It's burning. It's collapsing, right? Y'all can talk back to me. It's okay.
Yeah. We're just captivated.
I thank you. But this is what really caught my eye. And this is actually my first point for you all. Don't be afraid to run into the burning building. When you looked at the bottom level with the news reporters out there, you saw everyday servicemen, firemen, police officers, paramedics. Then you saw everyday random Joe Schmoes running into this burning building trying to save whoever they could. And in this moment now, I can't help but to think back to myself. While we're talking about the mentoring that we're doing for our young women with our fellow, I really believe that it's important for us to take a step back and think about who ran in the burning building for you when you were struggling. Who ran into something for you when you were struggling. So when I talk about my new book, Between the Dream, it literally just describes the point between your present moment and your promise, which is your process. A lot of times when you get speakers that come up and talk, they tell you about where they were and where they are now. But nobody talks about that middle portion, right? So this is the purpose of me telling you the story, because transparency is key to a lot of things. Your Between the Dream story is going to empower the Between the Dream story of so many other people. Lauren, the work that you're doing is going to empower the lives of so many other people. So when we talk about time, talent, and treasure, I can't help but to think, while I was sitting in that hospital bed, the doctor came in and he told me, Mr. Taylor, you tapped the main vein at the top of your wrist, but no blood will come out. Didn't know this guy from Adam, but his last words to me as he was walking out was simple. He said, you have a purpose, now you need to figure out what it is. And he walked out. Shortly thereafter, I got a call from a guy who would turn out to be my first mentor. And in this moment now, I can't help but to think, what if nobody ever ran in the burning building to save me? What if nobody ever ran in the burning building to save me from my problems? What if nobody ever ran in the burning building to save me from myself? What if nobody ever came in to save you? Time, talent, and treasure. Don't be afraid to run into the burning building. And my second and final point is simple. It's chapter 9 in my book, Starve the Beast. It's not this mythical character that's going to hop out your body when the clock strikes 12. What I tell you with starve the beast is simple. Starve the beast means not giving time or effort into anything that does not deserve your thought process. Anything that does not deserve your mental effort. And when I say starve the beast in particular, I'm talking about starve the beast in your time, your talent, and your treasure. Starve the beast that says that this work is impossible. Starve the beast that says that no, I'll wait for somebody else to take the reins and be the change, even though God created me to be. Starve the beast that says, oh, we got to wait for the government to come in and give us funding and assistance, or to bring something in that can help. Because the reality is, politics doesn't take precedence over the power that's already in each and every one of us. Starve the beast that says that this work is impossible and that, oh, this will be a program that will only last for a few years. Because while everybody is here praising her tonight, the reality is that there are people who are assigned as haters who will try and come against this great work. Starve the beast that says, oh, I don't have the time to do it. Because empire and scandal and how to get away with murder can be DVR. Y'all don't want to talk to me though, it's cool. So I'll just take my time back here and holler at the DJ real quick. But seriously, our time, our talent, and our treasure, we have 86,400 minutes of seconds in each day. Yes, we go to work. Yes, we do all of these other things. But remember what I said. Your life was not meant for it just to be your own. Your story, your struggle, every hellacious thing that you've had to go through, every pain, every triumph, every victory, it was for you to be better for somebody else. And I can't help but to think that if I was successful in killing myself, I would never have been able to talk to the young lady who came up to me after my first big speech with about 500 students and handed me her suicide letter and said, I don't need to take this home to my mom and dad anymore because you gave me a reason to live. So what I'm saying to you is this. Who's watching you right now that you could be making an impact on? Yeah. We are so quick to talk about, oh, Chicago is this, the violence is this. The reality is that the only thing that these children really need is love. It's free, but it's the hardest thing to give. Why is that? Why? Something that we all possess. But in order for us to love on others, we got to love ourselves enough first to get the courage to do it for somebody else. So what I'm saying is simple. Run into the burning building. Starve the beast that says that this is impossible, that you can't. And be love. Be love in so many different ways. And I'll end with this last story. I, for the last year and a half now, have been taking young men that I mentor. I run a few programs within CPS with a few hundred young men, and I also do some contracting work for ADS McKinley with young men as well. The young men that I have with McKinley, and even now some of my mentees in CPS, I've been taking them to the North Shore every weekend, even if it's for a few hours. For those of you all who've never been or don't know what the North Shore is, probably the richest areas of our state. Of Illinois, period, right? So Bruce Rauner, Jay Cutler, you name an athlete, they probably have a home up there. You name celebs, they have getaway. Airbnb has great homes that you can actually get at a reasonable price. Just drive. With a group of 10, right? So you go down Lakeshore Drive turns into Sheridan Road. Yeah. Typically, I take these boys all the way up to Lake Bluff where all the big homes tend to end. The first time that I took this trip, and it's the reason why I take them out there now, as we got to Glencoe, they have all of these big beaches that you can go to and you see the homes, the $1 million mansions, the $5, $10, $20 million mansions that sit off of Sheridan Road that have their own private beaches, right? I took them down, they got a chance to see the back of the homes, and one of my mentees said to me, he was like, I would put my gun down for this lifestyle. And I asked him, what's stopping you? And he said, before this moment, I never knew that it existed or that I could even have it. Because the reality is all he knows is the block. A lot of us, I'm pretty sure we have good jobs. I'm pretty sure we do some great things. But we have to become more than our titles. Because while a lot of us can say, oh, I'm in the work of change, does your life show it? Do your words and your actions align with one another? Are they congruent? Something that I have to constantly remind myself. Because this work isn't easy. But it's impossible for us to be everybody looks amazing here tonight. We all look like we are at a place, and I get it, looks can be deceiving, but we all have promise. Everybody in this room has a purpose. Everybody in this room has greatness spewing out of them. And what I'm saying is this, that how can we be so great as people, but we still not able to create a great impact out there? So what I'm charging you all to do tonight is simple. Figure out which one you have. If it's time and you don't have money right now, great. The reality is each of us have two of them. You can have money and talent. You can have time and talent. All of us have the talent. We all have some kind of gift, some kind of love to give. Some of us might be in a monetary standpoint, we're trying to work on getting the money, and that's fine. But at the same time, do not take away from the value of your time. Because, and let's go back to our young ladies as I close. The time that you spend right now doesn't just make a change for the future. The time that you spend right now makes the change for now. So the young lady that could turn out to be 26 years old with 3 kids, with your time could actually turn out to be the young woman with 3 degrees and no kids by the time she's 26. Your time literally can shift and alter somebody's life completely. So if we say Black Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter, all lives matter, let's begin to live it. And I'll close with this quote from my book. It simply says, you are not losing, you are not failing, you are simply between the dream. Thank you for your time.